power to the technique. There's the movement, there's the foot coming up for added strength. He also uses this method against somebody making a strong attack by bracing, grabbing the sleeve, and then rotating. He makes sure that his opponent turns directly onto his back. There's the brace, there's the pull on the sleeve. Hips then go right the way across, and there's the huge spin onto his back. This fighting example just shows, well, the dominating of the sleeve and use of the hips there, and pushes the hips across, lifts the leg up to finish the technique. It's interesting that this particular variation, it's not Uchimata, it's Seoinage, the hips go across. Against Bagdasarov in the final of the Olympic Games in '96, some huge attempts here, nearly come off. And there's the second one, fantastic stuff from the same angle. There he's got the grip, he's got the sleeve, and look at the extreme stance that he's having to cope with. There's the huge movement there, almost the first time, almost the second, but not quite. Chun's drop Seoinage is very low, very dynamic. Notice how he comes right the way between his opponent's legs, and the driving action of the legs. If you have a look at the feet, one foot is flat, the other one is tucked in, his toes are in contact with the mat so he can push off. Look how he comes right the way underneath his opponent, pushes off to the side because of his single set of toes that are in contact with the mat as he pushes. Now from the other angle, uses the lapel, creates the space, drops right the way underneath. Look at the rotation and the drive. In this competition example against Garcia of Argentina, notice how quickly Chun gets up from the first attack, ready to go for the second. Incredible speed and agility. There's the drop, ready to attack again. Here he is fighting for it, gets the inside lapel grip, gets the sleeve. There's the reaction, drops right the way underneath and off to the side. There's the inside grip, creates the space, gets the drive to the side. And in competition, he gains the advantage, gets hold of the lapel, and there's the drive to the side. Incredible agility, spins underneath, pushes off with the foot, and gets the score. In this example, the Puerto Rican, well, does well to ride the initial onslaught, comes off the wrong side for the score. So again, good variation here by Chun. Creates the space, drops underneath, doesn't quite get the drive, and takes him off the wrong side. Against Janzi of France, again right the way underneath, takes him off the wrong side. Great agility by Janzi, spins off, lucky to prevent the ippon. In the final of the Olympics, there's the first score. Wazzari scored there by Chun. Gets the lapel grip, there's the space, all the time moving round, drops right the way underneath his opponent's legs, gets the side drive. Wazzari scored. Same fight against Bagdasarov. Again, he's got his lapel grip. Look how far between the legs he goes. Yuko scored. Lucky to avoid the ippon. Incredible how he goes right the way through the legs. Almost comes out the other side. What a driving action to finish it. Chun's feint is world famous. And here we can see it against a right-handed fighter. There's the actual movement, gets his partner to react, drops right the way underneath for the Seoinage. There's the reaction. His opponent just splits the legs that little bit more, right the way underneath for the technique. In this moving example, you can see that Chun gets the reaction, pulls down, feints up, and then underneath for the technique. There's the pull down, he feints upwards, and then straight underneath for the Seoi Nage. Notice the inside grip controls the sleeve. There's the lifting action in order to get the reaction. There's the sleeve grip. Pulls down on the lapel, then lifts up to get the reaction. And now on the move, notice how on the move, always moving his opponent. He uses the feint in order to get his opponent to freeze. He then waits till he unfreezes and then drops underneath for the technique. Here's a good competition example against Jason Morris of the USA. There's the feint, and there's the drop, and there's the score. So great stuff. Gets his reaction from Morris. Morris then just unfreezes that moment, and it costs him the score. Here's the end of the same contest. There's the feint, there's the drop, and a good score. Yuko scored. Still got the same grip, still underneath, and another Yuko scored. And look at the confidence as he steps over. There he's got the grip, got the sleeve grip. There's the feint, there's the drop, right the way underneath. Doesn't quite get the rotation, but Yuko scored. Jason Morris stands up, he's still got the grip, right the way underneath again. 2 scores in 5 seconds. So Olympic Games final, there's the feint, there's the drop, and there's the ippon. Perhaps the greatest moment of his life, Olympic champion. What a technique to do it with. Incredible stuff, and a great champion. So there's the feint, already a Wazari up, drops right the way between the legs, and look at the drive, look at the ippon. So incredible drive, and we can see it from a different angle. Look how deep he gets, look at the drive and the rotation. Bagdasarov doesn't stand a chance. This is a left-handed Morote Seoi Nage against a left-handed fighter. Notice how Chun takes the high cross grip and then rotates through for the Seoi Nage. After taking the high cross grip, Chun then feeds his other hand into the same lapel and then rotates through for the technique. On this close-up, you can see that he takes the grip on the opposite side of the lapel and fends off the left hand in order that he can rotate through. He uses his right hand to create space, then he catches hold of the lapel. Then as his partner pushes forward, that's when he rotates through. In this fighting situation, you can see how he fights very, very hard, using his elbow all the time, keeping it high, keeping the space for the rotation. He feeds the left hand with his right hand, takes the cross lapel grip, and uses his elbow to flick upwards in order to keep the space. By fending off the arm, he then takes hold of the opposite lapel and rotates through. This competition example, you can see it more clearly. There's the flicker, there's the rotation, and there's the ippon. Well, not quite ippon on this occasion. But let's have another look. There's the flicker, gets the reaction from his opponent, and right the way through. Beautiful stuff. This time, we see a drop Seoi Nage against a left-handed opponent. Notice once again, takes the opposite lapel grip, goes onto the sleeve, takes the sleeve down to get the reaction, and then right the way underneath. There's the opposite lapel, catches the sleeve, releases the pressure of the sleeve, takes it downwards, gets the reaction, and then right the way underneath between his opponent's legs. And here you see it in a fighting situation, looking for the lapel all the time, feeds the lapel into his hand. There's the reaction, and there's the rotation. Just look at the speed that Chun actually drops underneath. Fantastic speed, beautiful technique. And now we can see it, competition situation. He's got both sleeves at the moment. Crosses over to the opposite lapel, drops underneath, and there's the ippon. There he is, both sleeves, crosses it over, looks for the reaction, and right the way through the legs. 10 seconds to go against Gill of Canada in the semi-final of the World Championships. There's the first attempt and the second. There's the third, and he scores Wazeti ippon. Wonderful stuff. Look how agile he is. Up from the first, straight into the Osoto. Gill almost, well, too nonchalant. Right the way between the legs there, and scores the second Wazari. There it is. Almost comes right the way through, and look at the drive. Against Morgan of Canada, and again takes the cross grip, always the cross grip against the left-hander. Right the way underneath, and fantastic spinning action there for the ippon. Feint attack, there's the feint, underneath, and look at the rotation. Koichi from Morgan. It doesn't rock him. There's the feint, and there's the drop. The Korean method of three-person uchikomi is slightly unusual, as the third person is sitting on the floor holding uke's belt and using the soles of their feet against uke's heels. This enables Chun to break uke's balance without breaking rhythm. Here's the pulling action, and there's the body position of Chun for the Marathi Seoinage. Notice how Chun every time tries to replicate the same movement with the same body positioning every time. There's the straight back, driving forward, there's the lifting action, there's the head pointing downwards. The benefit of three-man uchikomi being that Chun can launch himself into the attack, breaking balance every time, and there's the brace to stop his opponent coming too far into the air. There's the lifting action, there's the body positioning, and there's the drive. Drop-down Seoinage can also be practiced with three-man uchikomi. The advantage being that Chun can launch himself into the attack without actually throwing his opponent. The body position, so important. Drops onto both knees, then to one knee, and then straight up into the standing position. The whole idea of uchikomi is not to break rhythm. And this way, a great way of being able to drop underneath, get the necessary drive, get the correct body position, and then straight back up into the standing position. And there we go, off one leg again. This is another left-handed Marathi variation against a right-handed opponent. This time, the right-handed opponent manages to keep the sleeve hand back, but still enabling the attacker to drop underneath, gripping the same lapel and taking his opponent off the wrong side. And now, from a fighting situation, he can't get the sleeve, so he goes straight to the same lapel grip and drops underneath and spins his opponent off the wrong side. Notice the drop, and notice the drive.
In my first ever tournament as a judoka, I was 16 years old. It was my first regional championships, and many people were expecting a great deal from me. but I only managed to progress as far as the quarterfinal. A lot of people were very disappointed, including myself. However, the result of that tournament spurred me on to do better, and so I started a very hard and demanding training regime. Then, a couple of months later, for the first time I discovered what it was like to be a winner. I won the gold medal at the Korean National Junior Championships. These were very hard and difficult times, when I felt I was going to quit many times, and I really regretted having even started judo. But once I won my first gold medal, all those feelings subsided. I was amazingly happy.
Chun, though he is a predominant left-hander, can do Ippon Seoinage successfully to the right. This competition footage shows him with his predominant left grip. Hand goes back, there's the feint, and then, well, clearly expecting the left, but there's the right hand, Ippon Seoinage for Ippon. So able to change direction, and not a lot of defense there, expecting the left-handed attack. However, the majority of his attacks are on the left. This particular variation shows Chun feeding the lapel hand and into his hand, and then pushing his opponent's arm off. Once his opponent catches the sleeve, he then attempts to pull backwards to get a reaction. There he's pushed the arm off. There's the sleeve grip pulling backwards. Then straight the way underneath to trap the arm, and a drive forward with the Seoinage. So there's the lapel, feeds the lapel into his hand, pushes the hand off, snatches the sleeve, traps the arm. And you can see it in a moving situation now. Gets the feed, knocks the arm off, gets the reaction from the sleeve grip. Chun's judo all about faking. There's the fake. Then the arm goes across, then the drive. And here against Bagdasarov, well, he takes the sleeve, and there's the attack with his sleeve being dominated. So it doesn't matter, he takes the lapel first. There's the arm, comes across, he comes off the wrong side, almost gets a score. In the first fight of the World Championships, Okuri of Liberia doesn't really get a chance to get hold of his opponent's sleeve. 12 seconds into the match, and well, he's got his grip. There he is underneath, and perfect Ippon. So, going for the sleeve, doesn't quite make it. There's the rotation. Brilliant drive. So three-man uchikomi can also be used for Ippon Seoinage. And notice the fantastic lifting action with the lapel hand. There's the lift. There's the beautiful body positioning. Nice straight back, bent legs. And also the drive. Each time breaking balance. Because of the third man on the floor bracing his opponent, it means Chun is able to rotate all the way through, lifting and driving without actually completing the technique. There's the lifting action. There's the rotation, feet in between his partner's feet. And the free hand going tightly underneath the armpit in order to control the shoulder. There's the lift. There's the space. And there's the arm underneath the armpit. And from a different angle, look at the flexibility of the wrist and the lifting action of the elbow. And there's the feet. Full rotation every time, pointing in the same direction as his opponent's feet. And look at the lift he gets by flexing his legs. Both feet just a little bit apart, landing in the same position every time. One of the best Ippon Seoinages of his life, I'm sure. Brings in his first world title against Yoshida of Japan. And look, first of all, it doesn't look as if it's going to work. full rotation though, determination and drive, and good control of that shoulder, and rotates him onto his back.
93년도 세계 선수권 대회 그 결승전에서는
In the final of the 1993 World Championships in Canada, I fought Hidehiko Yoshida of Japan for the first time. At that time he was a big judo hero in Japan, and he was also the gold medalist from the 1992 Barcelona Olympic Games the previous year. I felt huge pressure and tension inside me before that final. It was a very big challenge for me to fight with such a great man. However, as I said before, there were a lot of very enthusiastic Korean supporters there in the stadium, willing me on to win. And besides, I had less pressure on me than he had on him, because he was a national hero and was expected to win again, whilst I was just a new face. I told myself this over and over again to calm my nerves and comfort myself. I also told myself, it doesn't matter if I lose. I'm still young and I'll have many more chances in the future. It's all valuable experience. I think this was a good attitude to have, and I think a rewarding one as well. What was also very helpful was reminding myself of all the long and hard training sessions I'd been through. At the back of my mind, I was thinking maybe I could win if I could last a full 5 minutes, because of my greater stamina. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes had passed, and I was convinced that I was going to win in the final minute. I had a physical advantage over him, as I was both younger and fitter. So I was able to maintain my attacking ability better than him throughout the entire 5 minutes of the match.
Here we have Oso Tagari against a left-handed fighter. And look how Chun takes the opposite lapel, takes the sleeve off, and then almost fakes for the Seoinage and changes it to Oso Tagari. He has the sleeve, he has the opposite lapel, and then changes direction for the Osoto. Sleeve goes down, there's the Seoinage movement, changes his mind, and then changes direction, and now we can see it in a moving situation. All the time looking for that opposite lapel. Now looking for the sleeve. Head goes over, controls the sleeve. There's the Osoto. Not quite directly backwards. Fakes, almost fakes for the Seoinage, then changes direction and takes his opponent back. And in a competition situation, you can see that he fakes first of all, then fakes right. There's the Osoto, not quite a score, but almost. And there it is again, look at the drive he gets from it. Same contest, takes the sleeve, now takes the other sleeve, goes off 2 sleeves this time and scores. Again, changes the direction, didn't quite get the drive. Gets the sleeve again, gets the other sleeve and again scores. So 3 times now scoring from the same direction, same Oso Tagari. So the Uchikomi for this particular variation of Oso Tagari, same pulling action as the Seoinage to begin with, sleeve grip and the lapel. There's the change of direction. All the time pulling down to get the reaction, then the movement in, and the sweeping action. At all times, body contact, and look at the lapel hand driving over the shoulder, and the sweeping action to finish it. There's the pull down, there's the reaction, almost Seoinage, and then the change.
After I won at the 1993 World Championships, I changed to the higher weight category, from under 78 kilos to under 86 kilos, because of the Korean qualifying rounds for the 1994 Asian Games. I met a rival competitor, Dong Sik-yoon, whom I was to compete against in the under 78 kilos category. Dong-Sik Yoon had no difficulty in maintaining his weight, whereas I found it difficult, and I couldn't stand not being able to control my weight. To have had to worry about my weight every time I had to fight would have been highly stressful, especially through the qualifying rounds, which consisted of 3 different domestic events. And worrying about my weight throughout the Asian Games would have been even more stressful. Dong-Sik Yoon has been my main rival in Korea ever since we were in high school, and the constant battle against him, either winning or losing, was getting very tiring. Therefore, thinking for the future and in order to prolong my judo career, I decided to move up to the higher weight category.
This is Chun's left-handed Sodisura Komigoshi against a right-handed opponent. Chun first of all takes the sleeve and then allows his opponent to take his lapel. He then takes the sleeve and then drops directly underneath his opponent and drives. There's the sleeve grip. Look how his opponent tries to pull away. He then takes the opposite sleeve with his other hand and then rotates through. There's the sleeve grip again, dominating the sleeve. There's the opposite sleeve grip, and there's the elbow coming across as he starts to rotate. The right hand pulling downwards, the left hand pushing upwards. And now, in a moving situation, they're pushing the arm across in order to gain control of the sleeve, then gains control of the other sleeve, and then the drop underneath. Now he's got situation he likes, control of both sleeves, and then the rotation. And here against Dong-Sik Yoon, his main rival, you can see him dominating the sleeves, and there the drop, and a wonderful rotation there against a great opponent. Great rivals for many years. Look at the drive he gets. First the right sleeve, then the left one, then the drive. Here it is from another angle. And look at the lift he gets as well, that drive upwards to rotate his opponent over. And here against Merkavicius of Lithuania in the quarterfinal of the World Championships, he takes the sleeves, he dominates the sleeves, and it's all over in 10 seconds. Brilliant stuff. Never getting into the fight. There's the drop. Look at the drive. Merkavicius trying to grip, doesn't even get chance, and loses by ippon. Another fine example of second hand on and immediately into the attack to score the ippon. So again, right sleeve first, catches the sleeve, and then the other one, and immediately underneath, and then the rotation. Here we have a two hands on one side variation of Sodisura Komigoshi against a right-handed fighter. Notice how he transfers his lapel hand to the sleeve and then catches the lapel with his other hand and disappears underneath for the Sodisura Komigoshi. There it is, almost coming off the wrong side, but not quite. There's the lapel grip, transfers the other hand to the lapel, and the left hand goes underneath his opponent's sleeve, breaks the grip before he attacks. There's the transfer of the lapel hand, and there's the hand underneath the elbow of the sleeve, and there it disappears underneath for the technique. And now in a realistic situation on the move and looking all the time, defend the hand off. There's the transfer, and there's the rotation. There's the breaking of the grip, then takes the grip underneath the elbow. As soon as he's got two hands on, disappears underneath. This particular variation is a right Sodisura Komigoshi against a left-handed Russian-style fighter. Arm coming across, takes the sleeve again under the armpit, uses the other hand to grab the sleeve, and then rotates to the right. Partner trying to get the high grip over the top. And there's the rotation. And now on the move, there's the grip underneath the armpit. Takes his left hand off and uses that to fend the arm off. Chun uses the momentum of his opponent's arm coming over the top. As he pushes forward, that's when he uses his spin underneath to throw his opponent. And now we can see it on the move. He's got the opposite lapel. There's the arm coming over the top. All the time rotating away from his opponent's throwing leg. And there, beautiful rotation.